You are tuned to the Paracasual Destiny Podcast, episode 35. Well, a super warm welcome, everyone, to our broadcast here on the Paracasual Destiny Podcast. Episode 35 is afoot, and I'm Sooltime, and I'm joined by RomanceGirl, Greenstego, and Salliebug. Salliebug, are you there?
I'm here. Good morning, everyone.
Yes.
Or good afternoon.
Yeah, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you may be listening. We broadcast live on YouTube every other Saturday morning when we can, and you can listen to the audio version on the podcast outlet of your choice. So, to get started today, has anybody been doing much in the way of Destiny lately?
Oh, yeah.
It sounds like Greenstego's been playing some Destiny 2, the video game.
Last week I did a little Iron Banner. Was able to complete 3 of the bounties in one play session, which was nice. Get some pinnacle drops. But mostly I'm just very excited about keeping up with the story. Every Tuesday I log in eagerly and head down to the helm.
You know, I played a little Iron Banner myself. I actually played through to get the quest done, the Iron Banner quest, and I was really disappointed with the final reward. I think it was like a 1310 helmet. Final reward of that slog of getting all those kills with the various weapons. But then somebody pointed out to me, I think Salliebug pointed out to me, that I was getting rewards all along for each step completion. I think they were giving you
you give the weapons.
Yep, because I noticed them. I noticed them all in my inventory afterwards. So yeah, but it was sloggy. It was quite a grind for me, because I average like take the handgun for instance. I was getting like 1.5 kills per game. So it was sloggy for somebody who's less skilled in the ways of PvP in the point and shoot, hit the head scenario.
Those missions are so annoying because I'll go like 4 games without getting a single kill, and then I'll get, all of the hand cannon kills in one game. Like I just have one good game.
I usually do have that token game where I get several. And it's like, wow, what happened there? Oh, yeah, I got matched up against people of my skill level. That's what happens. Usually, you just luck of the draw. But it did make me question, like with limited time, when I'm in a limited time use of playing the PvP, I didn't quite enjoy it as much as usual for whatever reason. And
was it freelance?
Yeah, it was.
Yeah,
it was
I don't
freelance.
really do solo PvP anymore.
Yeah,
it's just not as fun.
Yeah, I think you're right there. I think that's the key. It's not nearly as fun going in solo and getting owned most of the time. I would say 80% of the time I'm just getting spawn killed over and over again. It seems that's the way. The other thing with Iron Banner, I think that kills the fun for me is here I am just trying to get my 1.5 kills per game with a sniper, and it gets called. Like 2 minutes into the match, I'm calling it, and it's like, okay, even though I'm winning because I've got the MLG guy on my team, I'm spending more time going to orbit getting rematched than I am in game, So the ratio of switching over to another game time to actual in the match is
Sooltime, I think you should quit Iron Banner.
Yeah.
You bring this up. This is a speech I hear every Iron Banner.
I can't do it anymore. I just can't bring myself anymore to doing it unless they change something in the.
I think Iron Banner. went in with Ghost and just hung out. We weren't worried about the progress we were making. We were making progress, but just weren't worried about it. Just hanging out and talking.
It was a, dare I say, casual approach.
Yeah.
Yeah, I need to take.
It felt a lot nicer.
Right.
Yeah.
You know, it's harder when you have an objective that you think you're fine,
I
right? 'Cause
could
it's
go on a long
frustrating,
time with the
right.
quest design of Iron Banner, and with these bounties in general, I could honestly do away with every step that tells you use this specific weapon. If the gunsmith wants to give me those bounties, fine, whatever. But every other part of the game should not tell me which weapon to use. And honestly, you're already telling me which weapon to use with the anti-barrier overload restriction, which I also don't like, but that's another story.
Yeah.
I just any bounty that tells me be on this subclass, play with this weapon. I'm like, what? The whole point is that I get to create my own fantasy and use what I want to use.
I like the styles where
It's frustrating when you can't.
where you just make progress just playing it, and you get like bonus progress for playing it a specific way. I prefer those styles of quest progression.
Yeah, I think you need to put an application to Bungie with that attitude. Honestly,
I feel like they're always hiring.
When I saw what Sooltime went through, it's like, I'm definitely not going to do the quest line, but I'll pick up the 4 bounties, and then we'll just see what the progress is, see how long I can tolerate it, or whether I'm having fun or not. And just playing the games and capturing the zones, those two I know I can get.
I like the bounties, because they do what we're talking about. They just
and the other thing is, it's like about halfway through when I was playing, I just said, you know what? I think I have a couple of catalyst bounties that requires me to get guardian kills, so I'm just gonna pull out that weapon and see if I can get 1 or 2 kills. And I did that but for fun, look, if I get them, I get them. If I don't, I don't. It's not that I'm not in terms of having that objective. It was I have this objective in the background, but I know I'm gonna die and probably not win the gunfight anyway. I might as well try it with weapons that I need to make progress on. Right. I mean, how are you going to get better with them? So
Greenstego kind of test every time. I'm like, okay, I'll try to make progress on my Suros catalyst, and then one game in, I'm like, nope.
Yeah.
Nope, I'm not using this weapon. I don't want the catalyst because I hate this weapon.
Right. I was using Tikus. It was actually kind of fun. Tagging them all, and then tagging a bunch that were rushing, and this
I didn't know you still needed to get. I thought that was for a different quest. Is that for unlocking the catalyst?
I don't know. I just know that Guardian Kills is one of the.
It may be for unlocking the catalyst.
Unlocking the catalyst. Gotcha.
Yeah, might be.
Right.
Anyway,
so many
where Iron Banner created some disappointment with me this last go around, the story development that's happening did not. Okay, it's delivering.
Oh my gosh,
so well, and they're hitting they're on such a great beat. Do you remember back in Destiny 1, one of the biggest complaints was how story was delivered? It should be in game, and there was all sorts of, and it was fragmented. To say the least, we didn't know what the hell was going on most of the time. But man, have they come 180 degrees from that. This is one of the best storytelling games out there, I've got to believe. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Especially since it's live. It's
Destiny 1 isn't as weak as people made it out to be. But I agree, the story is good.
But the way it's being delivered, it's multifaceted. It's not just the in-game lore. It's not just the lore tabs on the weapons. It's not just some dialogue while you're playing. It's all these things, you know. It's the expunge missions. It's the override missions. It's going in down into the helm and just sitting in, being a fly on the wall with some of these conversations. It's just so cool. Before we get into specifics, spoiler warning. I don't know which week we're in now, but I think it's like week 6 or something.
Or the quest, or the expunge quest.
For the expunge, yeah. So if you haven't done it yet and you're listening, you may want to fast forward a few minutes while we get our reactions to the latest reveal in the storyline. And keep in mind, we've done 2 weeks worth, right? So
yeah.
Past 2
so
weeks.
not as much happened last week.
Yeah, last week was really just like Saint thought about
he came to terms.
Mithrax had,
yes.
Yeah, he was reflecting on his perception by the Eliksni.
Yeah, which I really appreciated that. It was kind of the anti-Lakshmi moment for Saint 14. Yeah. He was certainly led us to believe that he's not suffering any corruption, right?
Yes.
That he's clear-headed. And also kind of they made the character very objective.
Hum the song yet?
Yeah, I mean, this is amazing. I thought that was subtle. Yeah, that was subtle, but I think very important for the character of Saint 14 going forward.
Yeah, there's an ongoing theme this season about what we do in the name of survival, and Saint's story, I think, really does that in well.
Here's the other thing I want to give my personal stamp of approval on, and that is the allegory of current events and what's going on in society. They're doing it so well without being preachy and without taking sides. I mean, obviously we know where they stand, where the writers probably stand on these issues of, you know, discrimination and current events, but it's not really, they're doing it to where it's really still within the bounds of the sci-fi Destiny universe. And I think it's a testament to what you can do with science fiction in this regard. And it's I was telling Salliebug, it's a long-standing tradition that goes back to Ray Bradbury or H.G. Wells or, you know, even I remember, you know, the early Star Treks, the original series Star Trek with Gene Roddenberry dealt head on, and that was out at a time during the civil rights stuff going on when those things came out, and it's very easy. I think science fiction lends itself to great storytelling that can do that without being so thinly veiled and blatant and obvious, but they can do. And I got to give credit to the writing at Bungie right now, is just doing it so tastefully and beautifully. Yeah.
Yeah.
A lot of it is
one of the things.
Oh, go ahead.
One of the things that I really am enjoying about it is that they, excuse me, they have really exposed how those themes are very complicated. Excuse me.
Well, maybe we should start Ava Levante's Coffee Emporium early.
Well, water break.
Yeah. She needs some water back there. Salliebug, are you okay? Are you okay?
She just had to cough, I think. I was going to say that I think what you were saying about the way that they're telling the story has a lot to do with the way we've developed the characters. Mm-hmm. It's not such a thinly veiled allegory because these are dealing with real characters that we actually care about, and they feel whole, you know?
Right. And there is some sorrow in the story too. There's some sadness about all of this. So it's going to be interesting to see how it resolves. And it is kind of back to the, the classic movie house little shorts they would show at the beginning of movies back in the 30s, 40s, 50s. The little cowboy story, but ends on a cliffhanger, and people want to come back the next week to see what happens, and it's always resolved in a somewhat disappointing way, but the goal was met by creating this tension and wanting to see what happens next. And so this week we were treated to a big, profound step forward in the story, I thought, more than just the a subtle character reflection of last week.
Yeah.
Daniel, what did we discover?
It has been revealed. We proceeded through the routine, the activity, the override mission, and we penetrated the Vex network. And this time when we went in, we uncovered Taken magic.
Mm-hmm.
And at the end of it, Mithrax said it was as though a veil had been lifted, and he saw clearly Quria blade transform at the heart of this endless night, who we know takes orders from Savathun.
Wow. Yeah. My reaction was surprisingly not that surprised. Honestly, that
it was Savathun all along. It's hard to be surprised at this point, right?
It is hard to be surprised, but it was like this. Yeah. Go ahead, Salliebug.
We've covered it before. It's like, this pretty much, she's like constantly in the background weaving her trickery to orchestrate whatever she's trying to orchestrate, which we don't quite know yet, but we're getting closer to an inkling of it in the lore, for sure. I was just gonna mention, and I don't know if I said this earlier, but I'm with Daniel. It's like, this is like one of the, even in the throes of being exhausted, the first thing I want to do on a Tuesday is come home and start up Destiny 2 and do those missions to hear the next progression.
Yeah, it's been a while.
That's
we
definitely
weekday night excitement.
Sign of just a super engaging story. And it's.
Oh, and in addition, if you read the lore entry that was unlocked this week, we know that Savathun is walking the city in human form, and we don't know which form she has taken. We know that it is difficult for her to hold this form somewhat. So
yeah.
But,
we also know that there's something up with Osiris.
Yes. I think you've been sleeping under a rock if you aren't suspicious of Osiris by now.
Right. So he is.
I love that expression.
He's definitely. I'm under the impression that he is minimally corrupted.
Minimally.
Minimally. I mean, I think
what's
like,
maximally?
Maximally.
It's like Aldrin.
Yes. Yeah. Like full on.
Full weird eyes and everything.
Full on taken in some way, right? Like full on, not just corrupted, but full on like somebody else has taken over his
Osiris is not, his will is not his own.
His will is not his own. Exactly. So, and I'm kind of leaning towards that side. I don't know if you guys noticed it, but like in the conversation and some of the dialogue after the override where he's talking and he's talking about like either studying Quria instead of.
He just thinks it would make a really nice pet.
Right. But it's not just what he's saying, it's the delivery of how he's saying it is like, this just doesn't sound like Osiris. I mean, it's his voice, obviously, but it's just, I feel like the cadence is different and what he's saying, it's just not, it's almost
was
like
it
how he talks.
The Mylan Games video we watched that pointed out in one of the lore entries that they said Osiris sounded apologetic.
Right. Yeah, that's and he not pointed out, Osiris.
Like, that's not Osiris. He's not apologetic.
Yeah.
And it's kind of like been alluded to in some of the lore where you have Saint and Osiris like interacting with each other. It's like Saint just knows something's up. Mm-hmm. Right. And if he does, then I mean, he's the one who would know him best, so.
And I noticed Richard's in the chat. Richard, you're our greatest of all time. So we give you a little...
shout out to Richard / Ghost.
Shout out, as usual.
Master Presage.
To our...
VIP in our clan.
So public thanks to getting you guys through Master Presage.
Our master Sherpa.
He's our own Master Rahul.
I think it was.
Don't say that. I don't think he'd appreciate
No,
JK.
He'll quit the clan if you say that.
You're my Tyracon always, Ghost.
Yeah.
I would never call you my Master Rahul. At any rate, he did. He took us through. We did some trials with him, right, Sooltime?
Yes, we did. Yeah.
Really?
We suffered through the trials to get the
Shayura's Wrath.
Shayura's, because it's like I so just wanted to have a submachine gun that was void in my possession, so I had that as a choice.
We did that too. I forgot about that, didn't we? Didn't we do that?
Yeah, we did. We got a second. Yeah, we got a second roll.
Second Shayura's Wrath.
Did you get a better roll? Did you? I know you did.
Well, any roll would have been better than the first roll that I got on it.
Right. And the roll I got was
the trigger.
Yeah. Went from a poop roll to a god roll.
Yeah, my other one was draw celerity, and I was like, I never want to use this.
Yeah. I mean, the roll I got was actually pretty decent. So, I mean, decent enough to say, oh, hey, I don't need to go do trials again for this weapon.
Ever again.
Yeah, poop roll. Anyway, moving right along. Hey, let's finish up our current events discussion. We've got a couple other things to talk about, and then we can talk more about, you guys were just mentioning the Shayura's Wrath and some other stuff. We'll get into maybe some loadouts that we've been trying out today. But has anybody been watching the GCX streams or anything like that that are going on as we speak? It's all virtual this year, I should say.
Yeah, I don't think I've caught any specific charity streams yet.
Neither have I.
It's ending tomorrow.
Yeah, we're at the tail end of it, and also of interest to me was the fact that they are doing some sort of virtual space station with ghosts in it, so you could get like a special emblem.
Yeah, if you bought a ticket to
cool.
GCX, if you go into the virtual space station, you can go on a ghost hunt, which is a beloved pastime for Guardians, as you all know.
Yeah, and so I think stuff like this is really cool, and I think we have the pandemic to thank for adding stuff like that, and I don't think that's going to go away. I think we'll eventually have the in-person E3s and conventions again, but with added stuff that came out of the pandemic.
Yeah,
the innovations.
That's a good point. Hopefully there's more digital alongside.
Right.
the in-person.
For people who can't make it. And
more accessible.
Yeah, GCX did have like live streaming of their things anyway. So this is just adding to it, which is kind of cool. And the other current event topic, kind of controversial. In fact, we could call it the biggest controversy of 2021, I think, at this point, is the lovely little toaster oven that you can buy that from Bungie, and 10% of the proceeds go to charity, go to the Children's Hospital. And the controversy, pretty much Paul Tassi has put out a video saying that it's a little controversial, that the toaster looks a little rinky-dink, I guess, a little not the best quality, and they're charging quite a bit of money for it. I think it's like $85. But a couple of things. With the $85, you also get a sandwich holder that has the symbol on it. Not to mention, you also get a special toaster burnt bread emblem out of the deal, right?
Yes, you get the emblem as well.
And of course, somebody, of course, goes online and finds out, okay, well, they're just using Alibaba toasters. You may recall Alibaba made the famous Bob Ross toaster that everybody loved. That didn't work that well, I heard. So it was kind of, people are a little skeptical about the quality of said toaster oven. I just can't bring myself to spending $85 for a toaster myself, personally. But if there's other fans of the game who like the emblem, I don't see what the big deal is. You do get the burnt bread emblem, which, if you're really into emblems,
you're then going to consume almost immediately. Like I don't know. It seems like a lot of money for something that you're just.
And the fact that this has become a community controversy is good news, because that means they're really digging up the dirt to try to find something to complain about right now, other than Crucible.
Let's face it, right? The PvP is like shooting fish in a barrel at this point, so they're not gonna, nobody's really even saying anything about that anymore.
Right.
And honestly, they haven't been doing anything that's like controversial, so they come up with this.
Yeah, so they're complaining about a toaster oven.
It's
I don't know.
It's not like they're
complaining about this. This seems like one of those things that like two people posted about, and then the rest of the people are saying like, "Can you believe those people are complaining about this?" Which is what I call a Twitter controversy. Like, it only exists on Twitter. Like, no one actually cares about this. This is
Well, in that respect, I blame Paul Tassi.
Yeah, he did give legitimacy to it. I agree. Well, we're giving further legitimacy to it. I tried hard.
Like I said,
I'm going to come out and say it. This is contrived. This isn't. No one cares about this. If it's too expensive, don't buy it. If
I'm kind of glad
People asked for it. They gave like somebody suggested it, or they said we.
It was the GCX reward from last year. It was just supposed to be a cute, funny thing.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Because
for me, it's not that big a deal, right? It's like, you want to spend $85 on it, go spend $85 on it and enjoy it. You've got that kind of disposable income. Then,
I the sandwich holder. I mean, that's.
It seals the deal and seals
that's
the
what you really
seals the deal and it seals the sandwich. All right. Moving on to what about those? Hey, how about those Grandmaster Nightfalls? I bet you Richard Pelham and our friends across the pond are waiting in anticipation of getting that Conqueror's emblem, right? The title, rather. Sorry.
The Gilded.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm not anywhere close to the light level, so.
I don't think Sally.
What is the light level?
1335? 1330? Something
35.
like that.
35.
1335.
1335.
1335.
Richard O'Neill, already power ready.
Without the artifact?
With the
Yeah,
artifact.
including the artifact.
Including the I'm 1326 max power.
Yeah, I think I'm in that.
Farming pinnacles though, because I don't usually participate in these types of.
1325.
Ghost is 1335. He's power ready. He's ready to go.
He's ready.
Yeah. So
I don't think I've completed a Grandmaster Nightfall.
Done it
ever.
So many times. Like, that's kind of what happened with the last season. It's like he and his brother and other clanmates had done it so many times. They knew which ones to go for, which ones to, like, bypass. And
yeah, but to get Conquerors, you have to do them all.
I'm not interested in the Conqueror title at all. That is just something not in my. But I don't mind. And honestly, none of the, except for maybe the hung jury, none of the weapons really. Like, I'm fine with not getting the, for instance, the adept ones. I'm fine with just trying to get the.
This is the pinnacle PvE activity in Destiny 2. This is for the end game, the best of the best players.
Right.
Would you say it's the trials of PvE?
As part of the higher echelon of players.
Right. Yeah. It is definitely not a casual players like them, but it's kind of sometimes fun. Like, it's, you know, I'm definitely not near the end, but it was fun getting carried.
Oh, I don't like getting one shot by like a drag. That kind of stuff makes me mad.
Right.
I hear you. Through this without getting shot at all. I'm too impatient. I need to build up some more patience for that.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Well,
I mean, I feel like
I think it's behind
putting myself out there and doing the Grandmasters, as long as I'm with like other people who are willing to take my lower skill. It does put me in, it challenges me a little bit, so I don't mind trying it, but I also know when I just need to.
She's gonna trust fall backwards into Ghost and Death Knight.
I feel the depth of skill, the depth of difficulty in PvE is in a really good place because you have regular, normal Vanguard strikes, you have Nightfalls, you have different levels of Nightfalls, you have the hunts, the Empire hunts, you've got Nightmare hunts, you've got all these activities that have different tiers of difficulty, the legendary lost sectors, etc.
And we're coming out with it's like the first Master raid later this season.
Right. They've really done a good job at giving us that depth of difficulty in PvE. I wonder if there's a way they could tune PvP to have that same.
He said it.
Well, hear me out. To do a Grandmaster Nightfall, it's behind a paywall because you can't get to 1335 without having the season pass, right?
Mm-hmm.
You can't. You need the season pass. Plus, you need to grind quite a bit. Whether it's just to get to the cap and then the artifact, or just if you're going all out artifact, it's a grind either way. And then you look at the equivalent end game for PvP, which is trials, allegedly. And it's basically free for anyone without any of that, without any gate.
Power still counts. You are at a huge disadvantage if you don't.
Depends on what kind of player you are and whether you're cheating or not.
I knew you were going to say that. Just totally move every point made ever. Let's move on.
No, I'm just saying there is a wide there's a chasm between the two. If you're just I think we've already said it. Yeah. But you can't.
I don't know what point is.
The other thing is you can't really compare PvP with PvE in this game. I don't think you can.
No, I think that it is always going to be PvE mostly with PvP modes available.
Yes.
And I'm fine with that.
Yep. can we move forward and talk about some loadouts that we might have been using, or weapons? That is something you might have grabbed out of the vault. Something to that effect. Anyone?
Are Paracasual loadouts?
Yeah, Paracasual loadouts.
I've been using Wither Horde with Breach and Clear.
Wither Horde with Breach. I have not taken the Breach and Clear plunge yet, and I need to.
Yeah, it's silly.
Yeah, you do.
I need to?
I think they need to nerf it. I need to take Breach and Clear off so I can stop killing everything instantly.
Wow. Okay, so
well, that sounds like fun.
Sounds like it's broken.
Breach and Clear plus Anarchy is where it's really at, though.
Okay.
If you really want to just easy mode the game.
Okay.
I think I actually tried that once, and I was like, "Oh, yeah, that's actually working pretty well."
If I go in with an Anarchy and Breach and Clear to the those override activities, I can just basically throw one Anarchy onto any yellow bar and they die. And then for the boss, just throw a couple on them and each third of his health is melted with each round. It's just instant melt on anything.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So, highly recommend for a little fun.
Fun.
Anyone else?
It does sound like a
kind
ton
of mod
fun.
where they're probably not going to bring it back. So just use it. Strike while the iron's hot. I appreciate the Anarchy build, but I really like the Wither Horde because that frees up the heavy slot so that as this enemy is taking enhanced damage, I can go in with a sword.
Or a machine gun. I was using it with a machine gun.
Ooh, that's nice.
Very nice.
But on the flip side, I wouldn't mind putting an Anarchy on them and then using the Heritage shotgun on their crit spot.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
So, what activities really benefit from this, like strikes and?
Oh,
we were
melt.
doing it with the raid to melt Tanics. That was part of the equation.
Yeah,
when we did the
that's
raid
right.
together.
That's right.
So you can do it for bosses like that, but yeah, we were doing it in
I recall Funny Bones Chaos
strikes.
Reach worked really well in the against Tanics as well. That was great.
And that was stacking like with my Breach and Clear.
Beautiful. Well, I tried out one thing I've been wanting to do, and I'm thinking, I'm going to have a little more time for Destiny this summer once school's out. And one of the things I want to do is start build crafting a little more. And I haven't been using exotics for day-to-day, just stuff to get done and get through the weekly pinnacle activities and things. I haven't really been bothering much with exotics, either armor or weapons. So last weekend, I think it was, I experimented with a build I found on YouTube by 3D Hero, and it was a top tree Stormcaller build using Crown of Tempests, which extends it if your abilities are full. You get a really long extension on your Stormcaller. Trinity Ghoul, and then he was using Elemental Wells, which I'd never done before, so I made an Elemental Well build out of this. And I had a fantastic time, and I forgot how amazing making synergistic builds can be. And of course, it's like following a recipe, though, I might say, because I didn't have a few of the things actually due to elemental affinity and how my armor worked out. I wasn't able to do, but you just substitute it with something else, right? You just, like when you're making a recipe, if you're out of one ingredient, maybe you could substitute something else in, and you make do with what you have. But it was still just so much fun doing that. Top Tree Stormcaller, Crown of Tempest, Trinity Ghoul, Elemental Well build. It was great.
You have a fun name for it?
I think he had the 3D Hero, and I'll post the link in the description. I think he called it Web Crawler or something like that. It was really good because everything, it was with the Trinity Ghoul and the grenades, your arc grenades. everything chained. So it was just like a ad clearing build. That was a lot of fun. I love
Trinity Ghoul. It's one of my favorites.
So much fun. Of course, I should say it had the catalyst. Trinity Ghoul with the catalyst is important to make it what it is.
Yeah, that's one of the ones that's worth going for.
Sure.
Trinity Ghoul catalyst. And Witherhoard too. Greenstego and I just unlocked our Witherhoard catalyst.
And what's that one do? That one loads it when it's stowed? Is that right?
Yes. Auto reload.
So
and
nice.
And
as well as capping out the handling.
Yes.
Okay. All right. So you can get to it faster. Oh, it's perfect. I haven't used Witherhoard in quite a while. I noticed it's popular in PvP, at least when I was playing Iron Banner, like I was talking about before.
Yeah,
Sally...
I put Witherhoard on in PvP when I want to go on easy mode.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Salliebug, any loadouts or weapons?
Well, I mean, I haven't played a ton, but I will say this, is that I got Vision of Confluence, I think, the first on Delta Class. And
yes, you were very happy.
Yeah, I came, and it is everything I remembered, everything I wanted. It's definitely my go-to. I have put it like in every time I get an energy pinnacle gear, it goes into Vision of Confluence. It's like, definitely like stuck in that slot.
Yeah.
I love it. It's everything I remember. It's got that same feel.
Same sound.
Auto shooting. It's taken the place of my trustee. I love it.
It doesn't come inherently with auto.
No, I just happened to get it that way, which is like, oh yes, it even more has the same feel.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah. It's great, Scout.
So that's basically it. Like, I mean, most of the time when I get on these days, I like go down to the gunsmith and see what he wants me to do. And I do gunsmith bounties and so forth. But, or I'm doing something that requires having anti-barrier. Fortunately, it's still anti-barrier Scout, so I can have my Vision of Confluence in and well with it. So,
and we kind of already gave our story reactions to what's going on in the last couple of weeks since we last talked with the Splicer. But I did want to ask everyone, how are you guys doing at leveling up your Splicer gauntlet? With all the, like, there's a new one for Expunged that to do the corrupted keys.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
I like 2/3.
Yeah, it's a little slow going for me because I don't do enough overrides. I guess I should just grind.
Yeah,
some
override
overrides.
I think is the main way to level it up. So
to get those decrypted data currencies that you need, right?
Yeah, if you do the override mission with the key and you unlock that second chest, then that's how you get the additional data.
Right, and you got to look out for those sort of high value targets. They look like the silvery goblin.
I only dropped like 25.
I'll take what I can get. I mean, that's not bad.
I'm very
because I was like, ooh, if we finally got the goblin, and I was like 25. This isn't even 10% of an unlock. What are you?
Yeah, we've been doing override for 6 weeks, and it's our second treasure goblin. It's like nuts.
And it only gives me 25.
That's because you're getting in teams who don't want to go into the, through the conflux thing. What is the,
I go through it almost every time because I prefer it because I can actually get kills there because there's less. Because
everybody else is stealing him with a sword.
Yeah, I'm in agreement there, Romance Girl. I do the same thing. It's like I have a better chance of actually getting any kind of kills if I just go in there. But I'm so far behind in leveling up my Splicer, but I kind of knew that was going to happen. I just haven't been playing that much. But
plenty of time.
I did get my sidearm kills, so I got my week 1
Package?
Challenge, right? It's
those are another way to really boost it, is those challenges. I forgot.
That's true.
Right.
Yeah, get a windfall.
I got the sidearm ones, and I'm about halfway. I think maybe even a little over halfway with the auto rifle. So I'm
grindy. I don't like those.
I know.
And I don't like being told which weapon to use, and I actually do use their weapons, and I'm like, I'm only halfway, and I've been doing this for 6 overrides with an auto rifle.
Right. And again, you're like fighting over, like, there are a ton of enemies, but there's also 6 people.
Yeah.
So,
and half the time you see the Vex cloud coming that shows that the ads are about to spawn in, and then somebody shoots a Deathbringer rocket right over that area.
Plus, it should be 3-player. It should be 3-player.
I'm agreeing that it should be 3-player. We discussed it, and
We've
it's nice that they are trying to incorporate 6-player activities. I feel like that. I don't know what they could do to make it more of a 6-player activity, though.
Right.
But it is a little overrun right now with Guardians.
Get it? Override is overrun.
And I think the only time that it really shows itself is when you're trying to get kills or get again the bounties go against the objective. I want it to last longer so I could get those kills so I don't even touch the boss, which is not the objective. Right? Exactly.
You know what I mean?
So you have something that you're trying to, an objective that you're trying to meet, and it's very difficult to do when you've got 5 other players who are also trying to get those objectives, or some are just trying to are literally just
trying to get in as fast as possible.
They just want that decrypted data. Yeah, they're farming. I'm going to cut us off here, and I am going to introduce the next segment and then take a bathroom break, but you can all guess what it is. It's a break in its own right. It is the Paracasual Destiny Podcast's own Ava Levante's Coffee Emporium. Chat amongst yourselves.
Oh, my goodness.
All right.
Sally,
let's hear it. What's
coffee?
Well, my coffee's gone, which is a very sad thing.
My coffee's room temp.
Oh no!
I may need to make some more coffee. I think that's basically in the cards. But what we were drinking was our usual Carpe Diem with, I think it's the Bistro blend with a little bit of maple beans in there, maple flavored beans in there as well, which I really love. I wish they would bring marshmallow. Something with marshmallow or like a marshmallow blend.
It's like we're talking to Buddy the Elf right now.
Yeah, Dunkin' Donuts,
marshmallow.
Like a few years back, Dunkin' Donuts had a flavor shot that was marshmallow flavored, and it wasn't sweet. It just added that marshmallow.
I wish more places had unsweetened flavoring. It's really a shame. It's only syrup.
I know. And I love that
I'm very sensitive to sweet. I don't like it being too sweet.
They have those flavor shots, and they have a few. They have like toasted almond and vanilla and hazelnut that aren't sweet. They just add like that level of flavoring. But I'm in agreement with you, Romance Girl. I wish more places like Starbucks and we have another like drive-through place around us called Aroma Joe's, and it's the same thing. It's all syrup, right? And you can get sugar-free, but that doesn't make it any less sweet. It just means they use an artificial sweetener. So
shout out to Richard in chat, also known as Ghost. He said we should do Override as a clan, and he'll let us get our bounties done.
I mentioned that to you, Sooltime, right? We just everybody get a clan together and just say, okay, let's just farm this.
I'm actually I'm actually like the master at getting bounties done. I can get almost every bounty I pick up done in a single override. I've mastered it now.
She really has. She's 20 levels higher than me.
The bounties, for me, it usually takes two override runs, but it's not the bounties as much as the challenges.
I'm like switching weapons in the middle of every override just so I can move on to the next bounty.
Yeah. Wow.
It's like a game to like see how many I can get done.
How far along are you on? You probably said it and I missed it. Like, how far along are you on the slicer?
Like 2/3. Like I have most of the top two done. I did it pretty linearly. Like I just did the first row. I kind of hopped around for some of them, like the chests and stuff, but I figured they're all gonna get unlocked eventually. So I didn't really.
I'm gonna say I'm about.
Think too hard about it.
I'm about a third of the way. It's taking me a while for sure. Anyway, you guys didn't really say what you were drinking except that your coffee went room temp.
It's just like grocery store. We still have a bunch of grocery store beans we're trying to use up so that we can get fancy coffee again.
Yeah, because coffee went on a big sale right before my birthday.
Stock up.
And then we got the local roasters gifted, and so that kind of cut in line.
Right, of course.
And then we ran out of the local roaster, so now we're back to using up the stockpile.
We had a couple of we had a couple of canisters of some Walmart brand bean coffee that we bought specifically for the vessel they came in because some of Sooltime students needed like a coffee can, and so we had to like slog through. Actually,
it was really good.
That coffee wasn't so bad.
It's like Stockholm syndrome. You guys were craving it, but.
So I liked one. I did buy like not like the $3 coffee, but they're like $5 or $6 one where there was a little bit more. I think one had Sumatra in it, which I love. So, and it wasn't bad. It was tolerable, but I am certainly happy that we got through that and we're back to our Carpe Diem coffee. Shout out to them.
That's what you want from your coffee. You want Ava Levante to hand you a hot, freshly brewed cup of coffee and say, "Drink up, Guardian. It's tolerable."
It's tolerable. So I think it's time for our second installment of our new segment, which is coming up right away. I'm going to go ahead and introduce it here. Paracasual Destiny Podcast presents the second installment of Greenstego's Mod Academy.
All right, y'all. Now, this actually popped up a little bit ago where the keen-eared among you may have heard when Sooltime was talking about his build that he wasn't able to perfect the build that he wanted due to his elemental affinities on his armor, and that is the subject of today's Mod Academy focus. We're focusing on the elemental affinity and what that means and what those mods entail. We're not going into the combat mod slot today. We're just focusing on the armor pieces, like the helmet. In the helmet slot, there's going to be one elemental affinity mod left over. It's like a hangover. It's like a vestigial adaptation from when they used to have all the like auto rifle and hand cannon mods used to be allocated by elemental affinity, and then it felt really random and you couldn't really tell what was going on. But now they've simplified it, and for each of these, the elemental affinities really only dictate that what ability mod you can put in to your armor, and there's like a theme for each of them. So if you got an arc armor piece, the the ability mods are going to be melee focused. If you got a solar armor piece, the ability mods are going to be grenade focused. And if you got a void armor piece, it's going to be class ability focused. And then likewise, the helmet is also, they have a common theme where it gets super energy. So the arc helmet is you get bonus super energy when getting melee kills. Solar helmet is bonus super energy for grenade kills. And this new one, as of like, I guess you could call it Armor 2.5 when they rehauled Armor 2.0 in the mods, is you get bonus super energy for using your class ability near enemies. So if you want to be like a hunter and you're like running into the thick of it and you're dodging around the enemies and you want to get super energy, when you do that, you want to void helmet so that you can put that on.
I wish they had called that mod Mosh Pit. That would seem like an appropriate name for that mod, just to go into a crowd of enemies and dash around.
Yeah.
To get your super back.
That would be really funny.
I really like the way you called this Armor 2.5, because that was a huge thing when they did away with elemental weapon mods, right? Mm-hmm. The weapon mods were no longer associated with an elemental affinity.
Yeah,
which was huge.
And you can still see some of that in like some of the like Charge with Light mods. Like there's one sustained charge where it's a solar mod and you get charged with light by rapidly defeating combatants with auto rifles, trace rifles, or machine guns. And so they still have these like kind of paired up with the weapon types are kind of associated with an element, but
not directly.
For the most part, but not directly. For the most part, that is gone because it really didn't feel. It was weird, and I couldn't keep track of it.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, moving on down to arms.
Mm-hmm.
These ones replenish the ability energy of what you're focusing on based on when you do either melee or grenade damage. So if it's arc, you want to be using your melee more, so it gives you your melee energy when you get a kill with a grenade. Okay. And so solar is like the other way around. Solar is grenade focused. It gives you grenade energy when you get a melee kill.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I get it now.
And then the void ones are new for this 2.5. They kind of like slid under the radar because the mod system is still confusing and a little weird.
Yeah.
But these void arm mods are brand new as of mod Armor 2.5. Where you get there's like a choice. There's two of them, and they both replenish your class ability energy. And there's one for melee and one for grenade. So if you get a grenade kill, it replenishes your class ability, or if you get a melee kill, it replenishes your class ability.
Mm-hmm. Interesting. Yeah.
The chest piece, that actually has nothing to do with abilities. It just gives a elemental damage resistance. We can just kind of basically skip past that one.
Right. It's damage reduction from incoming damage of the element that matches your armor. So if you have an arc chest, you have the choice of doing arc damage reduction on it for that mod. Yeah, okay.
So if you're getting like sniped by hobgoblins, you probably want to put on a solar chest piece and put on the solar resistance and the sniper damage resistance or something like that.
Right.
Personally, I think that the elemental damage resistance is like, it doesn't need to be that specific. I think that they're using them just because they already have the elemental affinity system in place.
Right. That would make sense.
Right.
The legs have to do with, remember from last time, scavenger perks, running over things and picking them up.
Yep.
Running over things and picking them up. This is where you find your bonuses for running over orbs and picking them up. And I remember 2 weeks ago, we got a comment in the chat about how that was a class item perk, and it was in Armor 2.0, but in Armor 2.5, they shifted those up to the boots.
Ah, okay.
So if it's arc, then you can get melee energy when picking up an orb, or if it's solar, then grenade energy when picking up an orb. And if it's void, you can get class ability when picking up an orb. But there's also like a couple bonuses for getting some healing done when picking up an orb. And so you can either pick, if you've got solar, you have the option for like a finite health chunk heal, which is better if you're like under constant fire. And void begins your regeneration, begins your recovery. And so that's better if you can pick up an orb out of fire, because then it'll heal you all the way.
Right.
Wow. But the arc they didn't give arc an additional bump in anything.
No.
On orb pickup. It's just getting...
I wonder if it's coming.
Probably
it just
not.
seems lopsided just to give solar and void extra stuff. Extra options.
It does. I would think that they would have something like increased damage resistance for a short period after picking up an orb or something.
Yeah, something. Just something so that it's balanced out. Now,
right. And there's not any really rhyme or reason to it, right? Because I'm thinking about it and it's like, well, it's like, is it that arc subclasses have inherently health regen or health bumps, but there's not really. I mean, not that I know for the hunter. I mean, I think there are some things that you can do that can like increase your some trees.
Yeah.
That increase your ability to recover your health, but not like crazy. Yeah. It's weird.
My guess is they just already had these perks, which, as I recall, like in D2, either D1 or like D2 Forsaken, you would usually see these on like helmets, but I can't remember. But anyway, they already had these perks floating around in the system, and I think they were just like, all right, Armor 2.5, we're shuffling things up. These are going to go in the boots. We need an elemental affinity for them. This one that heals is solar, and this one that recovers is void. Everyone good with that? And I just don't think arc really entered into the equation, into the dialogue.
Right.
So if let's say I have solar boots, and my elemental affinity mod choices are either get grenade energy back by picking up orbs, or I have another choice of a completely different mod that can give me healing on orb pickup.
Yeah.
Okay. So it's like two choices. And then with arc, you only have the one choice. You get your melee back, melee energy by picking up orbs. Gotcha.
All right. And then class item has two themes going for it. One is finisher. So a finisher will replenish your melee ability using some of your super energy. Solar will replenish your grenade energy using some of your super energy. And then on void, a finisher will replenish your class ability, requiring a little bit of super energy. But they also have the same healing perks as well associated with those. So solar also has a finisher heals you. and then a void one is it gives an overshield. That's pretty cute. But that requires a fourth of your super energy, so that's nuts. But an overshield is nice. Anyway, the other theme for class items is using your class ability. Using your class ability gives you energy for the associated ability. So if it's an arc class item, then you can put on using your class ability gives you melee energy. And if it's solar, using your class ability gives you grenade energy. And if it's void, using your class ability replenishes your class ability. So it kind of like makes the cooldown shorter.
Interesting. So 2 themes there, one finishers and one class ability when you use your... It's so confusing. Like...
Yeah, it's like it feels needlessly confusing, and especially when you consider the fact that these are fighting for real estate for your ammo-related perks. They usually just lose out to the ammo-related perks.
That's what I was thinking.
Especially since the ammo is no longer elemental. The elemental affinity doesn't play into it, so you basically just like you don't need to care about elemental affinity. You're like, I got my boots. I'm going to put on my scavenger perks, and that usually is going to be more bang for your buck anyway.
It almost seems like this is a step. You know, you had 2.0 where elemental affinity mattered for both weapons mods and, class abilities and what it is now for armor mods. And then 2.5 did away with class elemental affinity applied to weapons mods. So it didn't matter what your armor piece was in terms of arc, solar, or void. You got you had access to all the weapon mods, and it almost seems like it's a stepping stone to 3.0, whatever that's going to be, right? I wonder if this is a transition to doing away with elemental affinity mods altogether, which would make the system so much simpler or easier access. Yeah.
Yeah. Because there's this whole like system for changing the elemental affinity of your armor, which sucks. The cost is like pretty steep. It costs like if you've got a completely unupgraded armor piece that only has like 1 energy in it, then it costs 1 upgrade module to just convert it over to the elemental affinity that you want.
Mm-hmm.
But if it's already upgraded, then you kind of have like 2 choices if you hover over it. Like if you've got an armor piece that's energy level 7, that has 7 armor mod energy in it, and you hover over it, then it has 2 choices for each of the other 2 slots. So let's say I'm looking at like a solar helmet at energy 7, and I hover over the elemental affinity solar symbol, and it brings down 2 arcs and 2 voids. One is resetting it to arc, but bringing it down to level 1, and the other one is resetting it to arc and then bringing it up to the same level 7.
Okay, which is a lot more costly.
It costs not quite the same as resetting it down to level 1 and then starting over and then clicking through the upgrades one at a time, but it still basically costs. It costs.
You get a slight discount, but not a lot.
Right.
Yeah, a slight discount.
Okay.
But considering the fact that you probably already upgraded that one, it just sucks. It stings.
It's not that great, and
if it's masterworked, it costs another Ascendant Shard to change it.
Ugh. Oh man, ouch.
Yeah. Ouch.
Yeah, that's.
Would you say that the rolls with, your base stat rolls with intellect, mobility, what have you, are enough motivation to collect more than 1 set of armor? Because I think that would be the problem they would have to solve, right? Is that you would only have one set of armor.
Yeah.
Instead of 3 sets of armor with this system, supposedly. Yeah?
Yeah. I would say that's
They would have to introduce something else about armor to make it farmable. Otherwise, you're going to run into a problem of static rolls.
Yeah, where you just keep one roll that never sunsets.
Right.
Yeah. Like, you're like, oh, I got, a base roll of 68 on this chess piece, and there's no elemental affinity, so I'm just going to wear this chess piece from now until forever. I'm just going to masterwork it, and...
Yeah, because like if you're a purist, you're going to want your favorite armor with each affinity, right? Like you want to triple your
just your favorite armor, because that doesn't matter as much with transmog.
Right.
Well, what I was going to say is maybe potentially like for like that loadout thing, that if you really wanted, like, I want a high mobility armor set, and I
that's what I was saying, is those
recovery armor set.
I know, exactly. Would those stats be enough to throw it one way or another for the average player to choose one or the other?
For the average player, for the average casual player, no, I don't think so.
Right. Honestly, for me, I am not looking to get any more of. I never have enough resources to have more than one set, maybe 2, completely masterworked anyway, regardless of what its affinity is. So actually, this Mod Academy is helping me a little bit in that I can say, okay, it's got this which one do I want to kind of focus on based on what I use more often. But that being said, I never farm for having more than just one set. Like, oh, I need an arc one, like this, I want this, I'm looking for an arc set, I'm looking for a solar set, I'm looking for a void set.
Yeah.
Well,
you can reset it at the beginning of getting the drop, and then that.
Right, and that's what and now that I know kind of what that is like, well, hey, what do I want to focus on? I just got a pretty decent roll, like I got a piece of armor to drop that's, say, like in the mid 60s. But then I can look at its affinity and say, hey, do I want it to keep this affinity, or do I want to change its affinity? Do it now before.
And I think that's the design. That's how they want you to be thinking about armor. I'm just wondering if we did get rid of the affinities, if they could introduce something else that's better, because I don't think this is a beloved system.
Yeah, I don't think so either.
Well,
but we'll
I think it gets ignored for the most part.
It really does, but there are. When we start talking about the combat mods, there are different kinds of families, different kinds of groupings in those elemental affinities. So,
it's going to get even more complicated.
It's going to get a bit more complicated, but you're still going to be able to tell, like, okay, if this is the build that I want, then this is the affinity that I want. And so if you get, like, let's say you wanted to try.
I think your best bet is just having 3 sets of armor, though. They don't need to be fully masterworked, but just somewhat masterworked.
Right, 3 sets of armor with the 3 different affinities.
Yeah.
I hear what you're saying.
But what I would love is just being able to use any mod on any armor.
Yeah, same.
But then that's like, but then what would be the point of ever farming for armor again?
Because of the synergy between the stats, I would guess, and also overall roll. You want high rolls. Maybe you're
I was saying once you get your high roll.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, it's no different.
No more sunsetting.
No different for me. Because I don't pay attention to affinity now as it is. I mean, I might a little bit more after the Mod Academy today, but
you better.
Yeah.
Well,
curious enough, if Richard is still in a chat, since he's the one who plays the most out of all of us. Like,
I think we scared him
curious
off.
to know whether or not he looks at affinity and.
Of course, he looks at affinity. All of his Gears Master worked. He actually plays the game.
Yeah. He's not. He's definitely not.
I'm sure. I'm going to speak for him confidently, though. He doesn't like the affinity system.
Yeah, is there anyone that really does? It's almost like something we just have to live with, right? But nobody actually really enjoys it.
Well, right. Witch Queen is a big, yearly update.
Yep.
You never know what they pull out.
All right. Well, thank you so much. Greenstego, thank you so much. This is really enlightening for me. And I appreciate the way you are packaging this information to make it digestible and understandable as well. Really appreciate it. Thank you.
My pleasure.
Next on the Paracasual Destiny podcast, we have our usual segment that's been around for a while now. I introduce to you Salliebug with her Touch of Grimoire. Salliebug?
Yes, I am going to start off by giving a minor spoiler warning here, because we're going to go into kind of some backstory of Quria, I think that's how you pronounce it. Anyway, but the reason that we're doing it is because of the current story. And so I'm going to talk a little bit about that first. In that so spoiler warning. In this mission, it's Mithrax who discovers after the last expunge mission?
Yes.
That it's Quria that is simulating this endless night, and Quria is under the control, we said this earlier, under the control of Savathun. And so her backstory, or its backstory is interesting. It goes all the way back to the Taken King, where Oryx has found that Vex have invaded his throne world, thanks to his son Crota opening a portal, which was done through Savathun creating some trickery to get Crota to open up this portal. And of course, this portal is full of Vex, and so Crota is just in this ever-ending fight against the Vex. And this is why Oryx actually created the Dreadnought, in order to try to end that throne world and to try to contain the Vex. And Quria is one of the Vex who is fighting. They're going back and forth, and Quria is like actually also taking notes on Oryx and his origin, and sending it back through the Vex network. Long story short,
so Quria was made by the Vex to solve the hive problem of sword logic.
Yes.
That's why.
Okay. I just wanted
Quria Blade transform.
Gotcha.
That's why that's her name. Its name, sorry.
Its name. And so, eventually through the grimoire. Actually, let's stop there. Well, no, before we read this next one. So what happens is Oryx is able to finally defeat Quria by taking her. Him. Taking it. And now we're going to read the grimoire. And this is grimoire that comes from the grimoire card from the Taken King that got released in during
Destiny 1.
In Destiny 1. And I think it was part of the Books of Sorrow, actually.
Yes, it was.
Which is, if you have not read the Books of Sorrow, you absolutely need to do it. It's some of their best writing. It's some of the best lore out there, and it's a great backstory to the Hive in general and what their origin story is. So at any rate, we're going to kind of like condense that into just one chapter. Take it away, Stego.
All right. The Books of Sorrow. Book 44. Strict Proof Eternal. Verse 5-2. Strict Proof Eternal. I have a gift for you, says Oryx. Savathun, Witch Queen, looks at him with dry wariness. Is it the sword logic I need to go into the deep and take your power for myself? Their echoes move among the war moons, walking together on the hull of a 2,000-year-old warship. Savathun's fleet has assembled here in preparation for an assault on the gift mass. The deep is headed that way, on the trail of its prey, and the Hive will be its vanguard. It's a Vex I captured. Quria, blade transform. It made an attempt to puncture my throne. I thought you might enjoy studying it. Oryx pauses, digesting. Through the bond of lineage, he can feel Crota killing, worlds and worlds away, and it tastes like sweet fat. Quria contains a Vex attempt to simulate me. It might generate others. You, perhaps, or Zebu Arath. I've left it some will of its own, so it can surprise you. I suppose it'll blow up and kill me, Savathun grouses. Or let the machines into my throne, or they'll start turning everything into clocks and glass. If it kills you, then you deserve to die. Oryx says it with a quiet thrill, a happy thrill, because it is good to say the truth. I don't have a strict proof yet, you know. Savathun strokes the void with one long claw, and space-time groans beneath her touch. This thing we believe, that we're liberating the universe by devouring it, that we're cutting out the rot, that we're on course to join the final shape. I haven't found a strict eternal proof. We might yet be wrong. Oryx looks at her for a moment, just a moment. He is nostalgic, he is sentimental. He thinks, imagine the years behind us, the things we've done, and yet being old doesn't feel like a scar, does it? It hasn't left me dull. I feel alive with you, and every time I step back into this world from my throne, I feel like I'm 2 years old again, at the bottom of the universe, looking up. But he says, Sister, it's us. We're the proof. We, the Hive. If we last forever, we prove it. And if something more ruthless conquers us, then the proof is sealed. She looks back at him with eyes like hot needles. I like that, she says. That's elegant. Although, of course, she has had this thought before.
I really like that one paragraph in this one where it says, where she says, this thing we believe, that we're liberating the universe by devouring it, that we're cutting out the rot, that we're on the course to join the final shape. I haven't found a strict eternal proof. We might yet be wrong. I think this is kind of an underlying theme that is going on with Savathun in the background, in her and what is her motivating factor. That I don't think that she I feel like she hasn't 100% bought into this sword logic. And if we remember right, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I was going to say, if you remember, the hive exists because they made a pact with these worms, and so these worms are forever like they have like this parasitic relationship where the worms require them to do specific things in order for them to have power, and yeah.
There's another part in the Book of Sorrow where Quria has the opportunity to integrate with a worm, and for reasons unknown, declines to. I was also going to point out that so Savathun manipulates Crota to rip open a portal in this very specific spot, and we learn that it's that specific spot starts a century-long war between the Hive and the Vex, because it lets the Vex into the Hive realm, and they kind of invade each other's realms back and forth from there. And then the Vex create Quria within the Ascendant realm, I believe, to solve the Hive problem of sword logic. Because these minds, I guess, are answers to logic problems, right? Like large computational machines, essentially. So with that being said, we could say that Savathun, as savvy as she is, could have wanted the Vex to create a problem solver of sword logic because she wants to solve sword logic.
I think that is a great theory, and I'm going to be in full agreement with you there. I think Savathun is wanting to... I think she's gotten beyond wanting to have this, her worm, and have this...
Oh, yeah, she's over the worms.
She's so over it.
What is the word? Hold on, I'm looking up the ending sentence of this week's lore is, well, the last two is, I look up beyond the flickering net of darkness and see what rests just beyond, waiting for me. The worm roars. And also says earlier, the worm cries ravenously. It has grown grotesque, skin taut, overfed, and still it howls for more. It commands me to keep it alive.
Right. So I think within whatever power she has, she's trying. I think part of it is trying to get Quria to help her discover how to get rid of this worm, and part of her plan. That's my guess. So the witch, leading up to the Witch Queen, my God, this is it's getting more and more exciting, at least for me.
And the worms are interconnected with the darkness, like the same darkness we're messing with.
Right.
So we know that there is this kind of war brewing between Savathun and the darkness itself.
Right.
And we are just pawns in this greater war.
Yeah, what role will we play?
Yeah, where does the light play into this?
And Mithrax.
And I didn't... I haven't mentioned this yet, but for those of you who have really didn't spend a lot of time with Destiny 1 or at all, the whole Truth to Power lore book from Forsaken kind of gives some more insight onto Quria and what Quria is doing, and it's kind of Quria is doing that 3-week cycle time loop that's going on in the Dreaming City. So if you want,
it's making two simulations at once.
And if it's
the curse and an endless night, right?
Right. And
That's a good point.
and I think I actually read either on Reddit or a video I saw on this particular lore story was it could be that us solving the endless night simulation may also free the Dreaming City from that time.
Another thing that is really interesting about this story is I think this is the first time the seasonal storyline and the main storyline have rubbed up shoulders so closely.
That's a really good point.
Yeah, like finally,
and I think that's true.
We've been running parallel lines, and we've just been waiting for them to converge, and it's like we're now at that perpendicular point. Like they're like, they finally converge.
It really feels like.
Well, the fact that the studio came out with a 2-year roadmap, Witch Queen and then Lightfall.
Yeah, I think gave the story team and them a lot of, They're
able to focus and sharpen the story now. Yeah, I agree. Convergence is upon us.
But to feel like it's like like the origin of this story dates all the way back. Like what was that? Like 6 years ago?
Yeah, exactly.
Another sign of crafty story writing is being able to pick up those pieces and use them and incorporating them into this whole arc that we're experiencing now is amazing. It really is rewarding the veteran players, the story, I should say.
Mm-hmm. I would not have guessed that this story would intersect with the Savathun story so seamlessly, in my opinion.
Right.
Like Mithrax plus Savathun, what?
And I don't know about you guys, but I'm still like not 100% like what's the Vex's role in all of this? Like what is their origin story?
What's the deal with the Vex?
This is another lore master. Just asking. And also, what is the Vex?
No, I mean, I know what they are. It's just like their origin story as well. And like, I know how we've kind of come in.
They're being manipulated by the darkness, is my understanding. I would not call myself a
lore master in any way, by the way.
Well, Mithrax was very surprised that anything could manipulate the Vex. And what could manipulate the Vex other than one of its own? Quria.
But Quria is being manipulated. Right?
Yes.
So
Savathun is using technology to manipulate the Vex.
Who's manipulating Savathun?
The layers.
As far as we can tell, the worm.
Right.
But she's fighting back.
And I think this all must lead back to the darkness somehow.
And Mara Sov is supposed to be fighting Savathun, but who knows what that plan entails.
It's like the layers are right. You peel back all the layers. It's like if you think about it, Savathun's like title is right, like the
Witch Queen.
The Witch Queen, but like she's like, it was like a title given to her when they first took on those worms, and that she was going to be the queen of trickery or something like that, right? So we know that her worm gets fed by
on deceit.
Of deceit, that's right. So
I don't know if deceit is the right word, but I just remember that that's what her worm feeds on.
Right, so her worm feeds on this trickery, this deceit, like these creating these illusions, and so while trying to feed her worm with all these, this deceit and illusions, she's also trying to deceive her worm herself, the worm itself. So it's again such amazing writing. It's amazing storytelling. It's awesome stuff, and that is our touch of grimoire.
Well, thank you, Salliebug. Let's move on to our next segment. We're kind of running short on time here, but it's a short one today. Ladies and gentlemen, it's Destiny Soundcheck with your host, Sooltime. And today's soundcheck consists of a discovery I made that I'd like to share with everyone. And that is the Oracle sound trainers. I discovered that there are a couple of these interesting websites you can go to and learn how to memorize the sounds. You could tell which oracles are chiming off based on their sound. And the first one comes from a Reddit user called That1Gamer999. And this Guardian created an Oracle sound trainer for the Templar Room oracles. So when you go, and I will link to the website, when you go to the website, you will see a map of the Templar oracles. And this one's interesting. It has a start and replay button. So if I push start, it sounds off. Like that. It gives us the sound of 3 oracles. And then, of course, the map is an overhead map, and it's got the mid oracle. And then it's got the 3 right ones from bottom to top or front to back, if you're in the room. R1, R2, R3. And it's got the left one starting at the bottom with L1, then above it L2, and then, of course, above that L3. So it's got the 3 right oracles, the 3 left oracles, and the mid oracle towards the bottom. And so I just heard those 3 oracles, and now I can guess what they were. I'm going to say mid, R2, and L3. And I got all 3 of them wrong. It shows me the actual answers in red. It was actually R2, mid, and L1. The cool thing about this is it's not completely guesswork. This Oracle trainer allows you to play around in soundboard mode. So I'm just going to check off soundboard mode here. And then I can play any Templar room, the Templars oracles. There's mid, R1, R2, R3, L1, L2, and L3. And I can just hit them in any order to try to train my ear, so I don't need to rely on visuals, especially if I'm being sniped or something and I have to hide. I can still hear which oracle was sounding off. And what's interesting here is that if I start mid is the lowest tone, and then L1, R1, L2, R2, L3, R3, each go up in pitch. So let's listen to them in order. Mid, and then it's the L1, R1, then L2, R2, then L3, R3. So we ended up at R3 there at the top. It sort of zigzags on the map, if you will. The second, so I will link to that one Gamer 999's Oracle trainer in the description. The other one, it comes to us from Lord Nando, who created a trainer for the Atheon oracles. And let me get that slide. We do. We have a slide for Sooltime's Destiny sound check that I didn't put up yet. And you can see how on the slide these are numbered. But for those of you listening, the way this sound trainer numbered them is a little odd. Of course, I am going to use a popular call out for these Atheon oracles. By the way, this is where a lot of people flub this part of the raid.
Yeah, we have a sound off in chat that from Richard. I don't like the sound of oracles anymore.
Yeah, he doesn't, and nor should he. But he could ease the pain by using these trainers. And the way these are numbered is interesting. Of course, there is you have a close and a far. A lot of people use front and back for close and far. And you have 2 for left, mid, and right. You have a close left, a far left. You have a close mid and a far mid. You have a close right and a far right. And the way this trainer has numbered them as 1, starting with close left is 1. Close mid is 2. Close right is 3. And here's how they sound. Close left is... Close mid sounds like this. Close right sounds like this. And then they stay over on the right, so it sort of goes clockwise on their map of the trainer. And 4 starts with right, far right. And then it goes to the far mid. And then finally to the far left, which is actually the highest tone of the 6 oracles that are in the Atheon room. And that doesn't have the quiz mode that the Templar's Well trainer does, but you can still play around with it. You can make your own music. So I will link to that trainer as well. It's the one that's pictured if you're tuned in live on YouTube here. And that's it for this week's or this episode's Destiny Soundcheck. The Oracle Sound Trainers, thanks to That One Gamer 999 and Lord Nando for providing us those tools. There's other tools out there, but these are the ones that I found recently that interested me. And I believe it is now time for the Paracasual Destiny podcast to finish their broadcasting day with our final segment, the NDMC, which is the non-Destiny media consumption portion of our program. And I would like to defer to RomanceGirl or Greenstego, what they've been up to outside of the game.
Well, last night we watched Luca. We absolutely loved it. It's the new Pixar movie.
Ooh,
and that's on Disney Plus. I would.
Yes,
guess.
it's about a sea monster boy who goes to live on land. It takes place in Italy on the coast.
Nice.
And it's just absolutely charming. It's beautifully done. Great story. Just funny, heartwarming, everything you want in a Pixar movie.
Yeah. Pixar's in great form again with this one.
Oh, cool.
Oh, great. Oh, I can't wait.
Yeah. That might be one for the granddaughters, Sally, that we want.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
Do it.
Oh gosh. Yeah, we're gonna have them over for a
Luca party.
A Luca watching party.
Yeah.
Get some Italian food.
Ooh.
Oh,
Yeah,
spaghetti it is. It's Elena's favorite. So.
Yeah. Anything else?
While we're talking about Disney Plus, we've been checking out Loki.
Okay.
I've heard a lot about that one.
And we tuned into E3.
E3, I have not watched any E3 live.
Oh no,
I've watched a couple videos.
I didn't actually watch any of it live, but I did go to YouTube and watch some of the trailers.
Yeah.
That were released during E3. There's some pretty exciting stuff.
Good time to be an Xbox Game Pass owner, that's for sure.
Absolutely.
Definitely probably
happy.
Yeah, that was the big winner from E3 and all the announcements. Game Pass, a lot of games coming to Game Pass on day one.
Yep, day one games on Game Pass. And I think everybody in our clan's happy about that because we're an Xbox clan.
Yes.
And Sony didn't even show up to E3. They're doing their own sort of live thing or whatever, I guess. Mm-hmm. So
even Nintendo showed up. Sony, what are you doing?
Come on, yeah.
And it also,
are you afraid?
It seems like Nintendo also, like, they didn't even announce everything. Like, they got like more things that they're going to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I heard about that.
Greenstego was excited about the new Metroid Dread game that got announced.
Oh, I've brought up Metroid before on this podcast because they were forerunners in dark sci-fi atmospheric storytelling, and this new one that's coming up in October, Metroid Dread, looks just absolutely phenomenal. Very excited.
Nice.
And then one more for the kids, Summer Camp Island on HBO Max. Definitely check it out. It is one of my favorite cartoons ever. The new season just dropped, and can't say enough good things about it.
It's awesome. Yeah, another one that's phenomenal.
Cool. Salliebug, what you been doing?
Summer stuff. Well, you and I have watched a few more episodes of Doctor Who.
Season 8. Peter Capaldi.
Taking that long hiatus.
Yeah.
I think actually we're on season 9 now.
Oh, yeah.
I am anyway. You've been falling asleep.
I've been falling asleep. I've been exhausted. So.
But I've been definitely enjoying that. And last night I started watching. Oh gosh, now I'm going to have to look up the name of it. State of the Union with Chris O'Dowd, and that's on Prime Video, Amazon Prime Video. You might, I think it's through AMC.
Yeah, is it funny?
Not really.
Then why are you even talking about it?
But what's interesting? I know you'd think with Chris O'Dowd, but
right?
It's like 10-minute episodes, and it's about it's called State of the Union, so it's about a couple dealing with just some issues with their relationship and going into some couples therapy, but they never actually, like, the snippets, the 10-minute episodes are them in a pub with their pint, talking about what they're going to talk about, and like the state of how they got to where they are, rather than what, like, the actual therapy sessions. It's and it's in small set. It's like they're 10-minute episodes. So
are you rooting for them?
I just started last night. I'm absolutely rooting for them. So
I'm also
My Hero in One Piece from Richard in the chat, and yeah, I'm excited to check out the latest My Hero Academia. Wonder if he's all caught up yet. It just came out.
We got a couple more things to plug. Hold on. Because, today, Saturday,
What's
we're going to
One Piece?
watch My Hero Academia. One Piece.
One Piece is another anime. It's
I
about
haven't seen it yet.
pirates.
Ooh.
Correct me in chat, Richard. I don't know much else about it. It's about a long-standing anime and manga. There's hundreds of episodes.
Wow.
Yeah,
Nice.
Got it.
It's like the main character is the pirate captain of his crew, and he wants to be the pirate king.
Mm-hmm.
Luffy.
Follows. Yeah, Luffy.
Okay.
Luffy wants, and they all have. There's something about
highly recommended. If you love anime, you're gonna love One Piece.
Yeah.
Right. Awesome. And Sooltime, you've been consuming some other stuff.
Yeah. Anime. Speaking of anime, I've been watching Castlevania for the first time and enjoying that quite a bit. I've also picked up AC Valhalla because they came out with some new content that's free. I do want to try the new DLCs, and I kicking myself because they had a good deal on the next two DLCs. But they came out with some mastery challenges, which is pretty cool. And it's really great for people who've maxed out their character, have, gone as far as you could with strengthening up your character. They're now allowing you to take advantage of that. But what I like about the mastery challenges that just came out is they're giving you fixed loadouts with fixed runes or perks on them and like one weapon to use, and then so there's these objectives that you have to do within the predetermined loadout, and it's just a lot of fun. Of course, you're chasing medals, so you're going for the bronze, silver, and gold medal performances to score all the points you possibly can. So there's strategy involved, and it's a lot of fun. I've also been dipping my toes in Elder Scrolls Online just to scratch the Elder Scrolls itch. Since there hasn't been a game since Skyrim, and so I'm really just playing it single player, like as if it were Skyrim right now. Haven't gotten that far, but it's a lot of fun, and it's nice to be in that universe, in that world again, of the Elder Scrolls. And that's pretty much it. I think that concludes this episode. We've gone overtime, which is always fun, and yeah.
It's just so exciting with the story developments this week.
Yes. Yep.
We couldn't contain it.
Yeah. Well, at this juncture, I would like to just send out a special thanks to Richard for joining us today in the chat. It always makes this so much better to have somebody hanging out with us and keeping us on our toes. Also, thanks to Greenstego, RomanceGirl, and Salliebug for making this podcast possible. We broadcast live here on YouTube every other Saturday, 11 a.m. So join us if you can, or you can follow us on Twitter at Paracasual, exactly-ish. And we will see you again in 2 weeks' time. Bye, everybody.